Alright guys, let me explain why I did not take any trade last week. Right. So coming over to my screen right now, from this video of last week, right? From this video of last week, this one, just give me a second here. So from this video of last week, I explained the pairs I was willing to trade for this week. Right. This was a complete breakdown, and this is just a simplified version of that same video. So the pairs I mentioned last week were all these pairs before gold. So all these pairs right here. So those are the pairs I mentioned last week that I was interested in trading for this week, right? So Favor was asking me about she was asking me why I did not take any trade this week, right? So I want to just explain the reason. So the very first pair was GBP AUD. It's very clear what we're looking for from this last week analysis, right? From last week when I was explaining the trades, I was looking for a retracement for us to sell to this take profit point, right? And I explained certain things, right? I explained that this was the first take profit target, right? And then if price can close under it, right? If price can close under this line, then we can continue to set and forget, right? To further take profit points, right? So this was the entry. So let me show you guys. This on this trade, this was the first pair, my favorite pair for last week, right? So this was the entry right here. So we had the break of this low, right, and the retracement, and then we have the confirmation right here, right? If you look at that confirmation, you can see that that confirmation happened on Friday, right? I was analyzing that market on Sunday, so that was on Friday. So which means as soon as market open, we are supposed to be in, right? And another thing about the strategy is that we cannot enter on Sunday night because of some market is about to do some volatile movement. It's going to move fast, right? So, but someone like me, even if we cannot enter on Sunday night, depends on how very good the market looks. I might actually break my rule and just enter on Sunday night. So, but we didn't have the opportunity to enter. So let me explain. This candle that opened, which was supposed to be our entry, was a Marabuzu candle, right? As you can see right here at the top of the candle, there was no wick, which simply means as soon as market opened, market just spiked down, right? So we are supposed to be entering around this price, right? We are supposed to be entering around this price 2.43, something like that. But if price did not give us the opportunity to enter here, then it means we'll be entering anywhere below. Plus, we cannot enter on Sunday night again, right? So I decided to wait till London session to be able to take this trade, right? So this trade was supposed to look more like this, supposed to be like this, and then our stop loss. Let me explain why this box is here, right? So let me draw it again. Our stop loss is supposed to be above this high, right? The last previous structural high, but from market structure, it doesn't look like price cannot get there. It looks like price can still get to around that level. But if I'm drawing a safe zone to put my stop loss, it's supposed to be somewhere like here. And it's very simple, the explanation, because there's a mine price have reacted from that point a lot of times before. It have reacted here, 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 here. It have wicked into here before, right? So putting my stop loss above that high is a much more safer point for me, you get. And then I can now target lower targets just like this. So this is how the trade is supposed to look, right? The first take profit target I explained was this orange line right here, right? So that was supposed to be the first take profit target, right? And then if price can close below just like this, then we can continue to hold, right? So my idea was that I was supposed to just hold this trade to this level right here. This price actually gave us another entry. As you can see, this right here was the break, and you can see the retest and engulfing, right? So at this engulfing, was supposed to be another entry. So this was on Monday, which means I could have entered this market, but I'll explain why I did not enter as well. So this trade is supposed to look like this, it's supposed to be above this high, and then I'll target somewhere around here. As you can see, this was giving me a negative risk to reward ratio. It was just 1:1.2. You understand? Because this was where I was actually targeting. I did not expect all this price movement to happen. Do you understand? I was a little bit more realistic with my take profit, so I could not enter on this pair, right? To me, the market was already gone. So that was the first market. So that one just basically just left me, right? It's not like I did not have the opportunity, but the market just left me, right? And if I decided to have hold this market, taking this trade, it would have probably given me a 1:6 risk to reward ratio, right? It would have probably given me a 1:6 risk to reward ratio. But that's not the only pair we analyzed last week, right? Another pair did the same thing. I think it was Euro. Let's see, Euro AUD, I think. All right. So from last week, again from that setups, right? I explained that I was looking to enter here. So you can see that the engulfing was this one right here, right? Engulfing on the 1 hour. Let's go to the 1 hour. This was where we were supposed to enter, right? So I told you guys that I'm willing to take this market down, as you can clearly see the arrow from last week, right? So the stop loss was supposed to be above here. This was supposed to be another win from last week, but again we missed this one. Why? Because we cannot enter on Sunday night. Do you understand? We cannot enter on Sunday night. Plus, market did not even give us the market, just moved too fast. The same thing happened again. If I come closer to the entry candle, you can clearly see that it did not have wick at the top, just like this one used to have the wicks, right? But this one did not have the wick at the top, which simply means market did not even stall around here. As soon as market opened, it started pushing down, right? We did not get the opportunity to enter this pair. So I'm taking my time to just explain it so that you guys might actually just learn from this one, right? So other pairs that we're calling NZD card. So from NZD card of last week, what I was looking for was simple. I was waiting for price. This was actually what I was waiting for right here. I wanted price to come here and have a break and retest to sell, right? As you can see, market has closed right now. It's now that we're having that break under this level, right? You can clearly see it's now that we're having that break and the retest is happening now, right? So as you can clearly see, it's just giving us the opportunity late. That was NZD card. AUD card, I was waiting for a break and retest. As you can clearly see, it just never happened. Price is trading above zone, so we are not interested in trading this market until price have this break and retest, right? Euro AD, I think I just covered that one. That is the one we missed again, right? Euro NZD of last week, we are clearly waiting for a break and retest under. You can clearly see price continued trading under the level, right? We never had a break and retest above this area to buy, right? And then the last pair for that last week was AUD CHF. So AUD CHF was one of the best pairs I was also looking at last week. So I was actually looking to sell, as you can see the arrow from last week, right? So price was clearly bearish at the time, but when price was getting back to area of interest, it was bullish. You can clearly see it's creating new highs, higher lows, right? So we needed price to be at least bearish for us to sell. That's why we needed this break under this level. Even if we would have looked for areas to sell, right? So basically what we are looking for is for price to get back into the main area, and then we'll look for reasons from that area to sell to the downside. So my reason was that price should turn bearish, right? It should switch bearish and break structure under this low. That's why I was simply waiting for a break and retest under this level to sell. But price never had a break and retest. It just continued bullish, and that was basically a loss avoided, right? That was basically a loss avoided. So we didn't have to trade this week because we missed 2 trades and then we avoided some losses. Even gold, I think I was pretty much waiting for a break and retest above here last week, and price just continued bearish this week, right? So there was no opportunity to even trade even gold. So that's why I did not take any trade last week. But I'm going to be analyzing all these pairs again for this new week, and then let us see the kind of pairs that we are going to have, and hopefully we make money again next week like we usually do, right? So that's pretty much it. I just decided to create a different video to explain the reasoning behind why I did not take any trade for last week, right? So that's pretty much it, guys.